Hello, just a quick little disclaimer for today's video. I will be talking about sensitive subjects such as sexualization and exploitation of minors and some more adult themes. So if you are younger or if these topics are sensitive to you, feel completely free to click off, and if not, thank you and enjoy the video. Nowadays, more than ever, alternative fashion has been normalized, especially darker aesthetics like emo, goth, whatever older brother Y2K grunge is. But anything other than those ones are kind of seen as abnormal still, especially aesthetics that kind of look more cute or pastel or childish. So when people are dressed in cute pink kawaii things, people tend to jump to conclusions. People usually associate pink and cute stuff with children, which is kind of odd. And I've gotten some comments before saying like, why are you dressed like this? Act your age, dress your age, like what are you doing? And that just dressing the way I do and liking the stuff I like is cringe and I need to grow up. And many other people who dress in kawaii fashion also experience this on a daily. And because of this rise of hyper femininity and coquette and I'm just a girl, cute pink stuff has been making more of a comeback, but still only when it's mature or done not too over the top. You know, nothing like super cute frills or Lolita. That's still seen as too childish. So people who enjoy cute, over-the-top stuff will get made fun of a lot. Even people making fun of others for liking Hello Kitty or Strawberry Shortcake, which is very odd because those are like characters that a lot of other generations before Gen Z have, you know, enjoyed too. So I don't know what's the point of making fun of that if it's like a generational childhood thing. But really, why do people's minds go straight to the gutter when somebody dresses super cutesy but not emo? So first we should look into the history of kawaii. So kawaii started off in the Heian period where elites would kind of start to enjoy more aesthetics and arts and clothes rather than just science and political matters. Hi, okay, so this is editing me here. I just wanted to clarify that the term kawaii really started during the Edo period, which started around like the 17th century, and they had a word which was kawaii, and that meant like cute and pretty. And it kind of stemmed from the Heian period word utsukushi, which meant small and endearing, and then it really kind of developed into the modern kawaii term in the 20th century. And the modern version of kawaii kind of started after World War II, period where youth culture started to bloom, not just in Japan, but like everywhere. A big part of this kind of kawaii culture started with maruiji, which is cute handwriting that students would kind of draw as a form of rebellion, because back then work culture was really strict and everything was just kind of conformed. Kind of a way to reclaim femininity during the Buriko era, which is the working era in the late 20th century. Anime and manga started to become popular during this era, like Astro Boy, shoujos were a big part of this kawaii culture, and brands like Sanrio. In a way, it's just supposed to kind of explore childlike wonder and nostalgia and just embracing femininity. Not only young girls enjoyed this cute look, but also women, because like I said, they're always working. There's a strong work culture in Japan, and they just needed an escape from this adult life, which is very normal and very healthy. The rise of internet culture, this is a big part of this aesthetic. It kind of spread into fashion, like gyaru and otome were kind of the first Japanese fashion styles. Overall, kawaii just started off as a way to rebel from conformity and to cope with rigid societal norms set for adults. So as you may know, Japan does have a pretty big problem with sexualizing minors, and this is where kind of kawaii and kawaii culture and fashion and aesthetics get tainted. I won't get too deep into it because like that could be like a whole other thing in and of itself. But basically there's a lot of using kawaii fashion or kawaii aesthetics or just really cute, innocent moe things for not so cute and innocent ways. There's always kind of been stereotypes around Japanese women of being submissive and innocent and just subservient to men, and that's why in a lot of Japanese adult videos there's just a lot of like reinforcing those stereotypes and just a lot of stuff that's like, it does not feel right to watch. I don't watch it, but I have seen some pictures from Pinterest that are clearly like screenshots from Japanese adult videos, and it's just women dressed like in school uniforms or as children or just in like really kind of kawaii fashion. So there's a whole history to this, but basically in modern days there's just a lot of preying on schoolgirls and sexualizing schoolgirls, especially since a lot of students kind of selling themselves to make money just from the way they're brought up. There's a lot about this in Jiraike if you know any of the history behind that, but there's many other factors. There's predatory idol groups, you know, kind of like that stereotype or that joke that like all fans of idol groups are guys, and it's sad but true, and I know this goes for a lot of industries, but Japanese idol industries can be very predatory, and they just prey on young girls and kind of use their like innocent or just naive and just cute hyper feminine aesthetics, not all of the time. And there's also a joke about the low age of consent there. They just raised it a few years ago to 16. That should not be the age of consent for adult acts, I believe, in my personal opinion. And things like hentai and just the Japanese adult industry and kind of their view on women being submissive kind of plays into this kawaii culture, which can, you know, kind of taint its image of just being purely cute and purely for childhood nostalgia or just to reclaim femininity. And a big aspect of kind of kawaii aesthetics is anime, and a lot of anime kind of uses this hyper cutesy innocent moe look for, you know, not so moe things. So like I said before, just kind of using it in a more adult way, even if it has to do with like children. There's, you know, there's lolicons. The whole lolicon thing is just really creepy. And just otaku culture, hentai, those things have also tainted like super cute anime characters. And that's why you see, like, if you're chronically online like me in the kawaii community, you'll know a few artists have used, you know, their cute moe old 2000s anime art style to just draw really kind of creepy things, and so that's why whenever you see people who with that style, even if it's not inherently sexual or there's nothing creepy going on, people will still be hating on it because they're like, this gives me a bad feeling just because of past people. I'm looking at you, Lottie. And just because of kawaii fashion and kawaii aesthetics being tainted by just really creepy predatory people, many people have reclaimed this cute look to be like, hey, I'm doing this just for me, this is just because I feel good, and it's not for anything else. And we can see this through many different Japanese styles and just kawaii styles. For example, Lolita fashion is probably the biggest one, and it kind of drew inspiration from the Rococo and Victorian era. And it was just as a way to reclaim femininity once again through modest ways, because there are rules to Lolita and a lot of them have to deal with modesty. So in a way, you know, its main goal is just to reclaim femininity through modesty and innocence and just looking like a really cutesy doll. I mean, not all the time cutesy, because there's different substyles. And there's also Ero Lolita, so there's that. But for the most part, Gothic Lolita, Sweet Lolita, Classic Lolita, they all kind of have nothing to do with appealing to men, unless that is the person's intention, but most of the time that is not it, because Lolita is a luxury style. You know, if you wanted to dress for the male gaze, you could do that in less expensive ways. Then there's Fairy K, kind of what I'm dressed as today, and that's just about childhood nostalgia from the 80s and 90s mostly. You had Gyaru, which was also as a form of rebellion to kind of go against Japanese beauty standards, which are really strict. And then there is a big one in recent years, especially because of TikTok, and that's Joji Fuku. Understandably, that one gets mixed reactions because it kind of did start as fetish content, which is very unfortunate because it's just such a cute style. So there's kind of like two versions of this aesthetic, I feel like. One is just kind of younger people on TikTok. I'm calling it cute core, and it's mostly completely innocent. It's just them getting into kawaii fashion. But there are still some people that wear it for other reasons, but I'll be getting into more of that later. And for the most part, all of these kawaii fashion styles have been formed as a rebellious movement and to reclaim femininity in strict times. And yet a lot of people have misconceptions about it because they don't know much, and the ones that they do know about is usually not from good sources because media representation. So another big factor as to why people just kind of look down or have misconceptions about kawaii fashion is because of media representation. And first of all, there's the main one, because everyone is on TikTok now. There's a lot of teenagers in this community that get portrayed in a not so good light because of the things that they've been doing, and it just kind of makes the whole entire style reflect this. And whenever someone sees these aesthetics or just sees super cutesy stuff, they kind of associate it with these few bad apples, and you know, they look down on it. So there's always been exploited teens in alternative fashion communities, and I know a lot of girls wear kawaii fashion because of this fact. They use it kind of as a way to cope or heal their inner child, and that is great, and that is a healthy way to cope with trauma. But there are a lot of teenagers, unfortunately, who wear it for a different way because they were exploited, and they just sexualize this style, whether it's intentional or not. And you see a big one in cute core or calm girl fashion, and I have a whole video planned on this topic that I will be talking about more in depth. But yeah, if you are chronically online, you might have heard of some people
right now that's leading me on
wearing cute core or just dolly fashion, and just kind of like sexualizing themselves in it. So obviously this is not everyone, but I have seen quite a few people because I am active on the Instagram community. I've seen a lot of people kind of get canceled or be called out for sexualizing cute core or kawaii fashion, or being lolicons, or just, you know, being really not so good people online. And so many of these teenagers kind of wear it to cope with being groomed or just the things that they went through when they were younger. And that's perfectly normal, like I said, but it does become a problem once you start sexualizing yourself or doing really bad things while wearing the fashion and while kind of representing the fashion online. And age regression is a good thing. I am an avid believer in age regression because I feel like everyone does it on some type of level, but it does cross a line once it gets into like DDLG and age play content while representing this fashion, especially if you're a minor. That's like a big no-no. And we also have adult representation of these kawaii styles that haven't been the best for media representation. The biggest one I can think of is Belle Delphine and just other adult workers who wear this style or kind of use like this e-girl, gamer girl, kawaii gamer girl aesthetic for their content. And a lot of these women have been groomed, like Belle Delphine and a lot of other adult workers, but that doesn't give them an excuse to kind of use this fashion as fetish or adult content, especially when there's children in this fashion, and people often kind of correlate it to children's clothing. And just, it's a style that has worked so hard to be pushed away from these, you know, associations. And I'm not hating on sex work right now, I'm just hating on its tactics, whether these people have been groomed or not, just kind of using kawaii fashion or alternative fashion. There's ways to do adult work and get a lot of money without having to kind of exploit or sexualize alternative styles. Oh, it got really bright out, okay. But some examples I can think of is, of course, Belle Delphine, just any other kawaii gamer girl, e-girl, adult stars that have little in their name. And I know they don't dress in kawaii fashion per se, but they do dress younger, like a younger child or a teenager. And a lot of these stars have been used in this aesthetic. I don't know what it's called. People call it like bimbo something. I don't know. But it's just really creepy because it mixes age regression and kawaii fashion with DDLG and adult stars who dress in kind of similar ways to this aesthetic. Because you should not be mixing up kawaii and age regression with DDLG, because they already get mixed up all the time because of things like this. And just on a general scale, most people are kind of wary of different aesthetics just because conformity, you know, anything out of the normal is just kind of looked down upon. So these hyper feminine cutesy aesthetics are seen as like infantilization. There'll be like adults or just like teenagers telling you like dress your age, like you're too immature for your age, you know, you have to grow up. What are you doing dressing in like a pink dress with a bow and pigtails? Like what? And then this one kind of annoys me the most. It's just kind of misconceptions and fetishization of alternative fashion. You know the big one is I need a goth dommy mommy, that thing. I know a lot of times online, especially in TikTok comment sections, whenever someone is dressed kind of like in cute core or kind of is talking about what they want in a relationship, you know, like if they want like some guy that's like, you know, more dominant, there will always be guys in the comment sections saying, I need a good girl like this. You don't understand how much I see that comment under anybody that's dressed relatively cute. Just guys will be like, I need a good innocent girl like this. Like you can just tell what kind of guy they are. And then of course you just have creepy people thinking it's for them and it's just them dressing like children in a not so innocent way. Because of those types of people, other people will see it as kind of just dressing for the male gaze or for creeps. There's other factors that go into it, like other media representation. For example, Lolita, the book. A lot of people, when they hear Lolita fashion, obviously they're gonna associate it with the book. And so whenever Lolitas, you know, tell other people their styles, if they're curious, they're like, it has nothing to do with the book, I promise. So basically, it is just in our human nature to make assumptions on people based off how they look. And when someone dresses out of the norm, you know, people are going to make assumptions about you. And although most of these assumptions are not correct by most people who wear J fashion, there are still, you know, people and instances that have kind of shaped those perceptions. So it is important to recognize there are dark sides to kawaii fashion and aesthetics. There's creepy adults, there's exploiters, there's grooming, there's pedophilia, but you also have to recognize that that is just a small portion of people who wear J fashion. Most of them wear it purely just out of joy and out of happiness. For me, wearing kawaii fashion, it's where I feel the most myself, and I just feel happiest and most confident, and that is the case for most other people too. So if you're just, you know, a normal person who wears normal clothes and you see these types of styles and you kind of start to make assumptions about it, please ask the person first, or just kind of look into it and just stop your bias there, because you just have to remember not everyone is a bad apple. And if you are into kawaii fashion or J fashion and you see these people that are making these negative associations and just kind of assumptions based on how someone dresses, I encourage you to inform them in a polite way, of course, about just its history and what it's meant to be and what way most people wear it. Because I know people say like this is such a non-issue, but like honestly, like if you are in that fashion, it hurts, okay? Like, I don't want to be associated with this type of people, and I just hate that this fashion and this style that I love is just kind of looked down upon, and people think it's weird or creepy and that I'm wearing it in a weird or creepy way, or that I need to act my age. So I'm sure a lot of other people who wear this fashion too feel the same way, and it's just important to break down these harmful stereotypes, because we're just trying to live our lives, we're just trying to do what makes us happy. So that is all for this video. This is my first kind of like commentary video essay type thing, so I know it's not the best, because usually I just kind of like think about it in my mind, because this is something that I'm kind of passionate about. I just like think about it a lot, and it's a complex topic. My mind's like all over the place, so let me know if I missed anything. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments too. Let's have a discussion about this for anyone else who wears kawaii fashion, or even just like other alternative people. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!